Hey folks, Colin here from Sumthins Recording, and today I'm going to show you the power of a pad when you are mixing. So this is going to be a little bit of production tricks, mixing tricks as well. We're going to be looking at how powerful just a simple little pad can be when you bring it up inside your mixes. But before we dive in here, if you're ready to go a little bit deeper into the mixing process in its entirety and really start to hone your workflow as an audio engineer, then I have just the thing for you. It is my 7-step mixing checklist, and it's just a simple PDF that will walk you through the entire mixing process step by step to help you get professional and radio-ready mixes without any more of the guesswork and without any more of the hassle. It is a completely free guide, and you can download it below using the link in the video description. Now let's jump in here and take a look at this humble little pad here for this track. Let me, of course, start by playing you the mix for this song so far here. Again, I don't have the vocals in because this song hasn't quite come out yet, so we're keeping that under wraps here. But you can hear the finished instrumental for this song, and then I'm going to solo up the pad. You probably won't hear the pad until I solo it up. This is going to be a feel thing. It's going to be a little bit more subtle, but I hope this is helpful for you. So I'm going to hit play. You can hear our finished instrumental track so far. So that's our pad sound. It's just this straight, it's a fifth interval, I believe what it is. And it's just ringing through the song, just those two notes. And I use the same one every time I'm working on a track. And you can see I just tune it to fit the track each time I pull it in. It's very low, it's very quiet. You can say I've pulled the actual clip gain down as well, but it allows me to kind of automate it through the track using the clip gain to set it where I want it in each of these different sections. So listen one more time here, just the pad. The nice thing about this pad sound and why I put it in a lot of the tracks that I work on production-wise is because it's not a steady sound, right? It's not one constant note. It has some stutter to it and it has some movement to it. Let me kick it up a little bit, and if you want to screen record or whatever and kind of rip the sound, that's cool as well. It's the same sound that I use on most of the tracks I work on, and I just loop it through, and we'll talk about looping it here in a second. But let me kick it up and you can hear what it sounds like at a better volume. So that's the sound, and you can hear it wavers a little bit. It's not constant. It's not parked in one place. There's no compression or anything on it. It's just these two notes ringing on the pad, and they move a little bit. They shudder and they flutter a little bit, which gives it some feel inside the track. You'll hear it's not something that you're hearing right out in the open. It's not something that you're like, oh, there's a pad there in the background. It weaves in between everything else inside the track to kind of fill up the cracks and fill up space and bring all of our other instruments together. So I'm going to start up here and I'm going to dial it back to where we had it inside the track. And you can hear as we pull it down how it starts to vanish from your actual hearing perception, and you start to actually just feel it more inside the track. And that's what we want. We don't want to hear it outright. We want to feel it inside the track, bringing the rest of our instruments together. So I'm going to hit play and I'm going to dial the pad sound back. Now what I want you to do is I want you to listen and listen to how the track changes as I mute the pad sound here, okay? Don't try and listen for the pad sound. Listen to the rest of the track and feel how it changes. Feel how we lose some depth as I pull out the pad sound. The surprising thing is you really don't hear it get added back into the track. You only hear it when suddenly it's gone, because it takes a moment for this pad to reach back out and weave in between all of the cracks between the other instruments. Because everything else we have going here, our background vocals, our guitars, our keyboards, so except the pad here, our bass and our drums all have some movement and they have some cracks between them. And what the pad does is it fills all those cracks and blends all of these instruments together to give it some glue and to give our track some cohesiveness all the way together. Now, I only have a couple things on the pad sound here. And the first thing is an EQ. I'm just rolling off some of the bottom end, and I usually roll off some of the top end because I think there's some noise up there. So I'll hit play, and I'll take off the plugin after it, and I'll A/B this EQ. You can hear it's not making a huge difference. Just some safety there on the bottom and top end in case we get some noise up here, or just rolling off some of this right here. You can see there's a gentle slope reaching up towards 500 hertz here. So we roll off some of this 200, 300, 400 hertz area, just a smidge. It's not a huge sound. It doesn't have a lot of low mids to it, but just pulling some of that out helps when I do this next move here, which is throwing on the binaural pan here, our width plugin inside of Studio One, and I crank it to 200% here. So take a listen without it, and then I'll kick it in. You can hear how it pushes our pad out. This makes it feel bigger and gives it some perceived ethereal kind of vibe. It reaches out further. It does some stuff with the phase on the pad, so it swirls a little bit more. And it gives it some extra movement because we take it that's kind of parked a little bit narrower and we push it out. So all that movement and that kind of stutter and flutter from the pad gets exaggerated. So we feel it more inside of the track here. Let me A/B it one more time here, and then I want to show you how you can kind of take this one sound and loop it here. So you can hear those two plugins just help it do its job inside the track. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take this big section right here and I'm going to copy it. We're going to drag it out into the open out here. And I want to show you how you can loop this simple sound. So I have a pass of the sound. What I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate it. So I'm going to click D, and that's going to duplicate it right to the next pass. Now, if we listen just like this, you'll hear there's a little blip there as we pass to the next section. So we have a little click there. Now we can add a crossfade in. So if I hit X and I crossfade these two together, it'll do something here. So let's take a listen. But you can hear there's still a little skip. But the nice thing about this pad sound, even though it has some movement to it, we can still crossfade really easily. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to expand this crossfade here. And we'll level it out a little bit too. It's kind of crazy looking. So I'm going to take it maybe a bar each way. So because it has this movement to it and it's not a consistent sound, we can crossfade it together like this, and you will never notice it's crossfaded together because the movement masks these crossfades blending together. So you never hear it there. And you can kind of go as wide or as you want on each side here. If you have some problems, if you still hear any little blips, you can take it out farther and get rid of those very, very easily. It's the nice thing about this pad sound and having that movement in there. So one final time here, let's jump back into the chorus. And we'll start with it, and then I'm going to take it away. So listen to how we lose that extra level of depth, and suddenly we have this extra space, these extra gaps inside of our track. This is more on the subtle side of mixing and production here. It's a small thing, just a pad sound, and it's low in the mix, but it weaves in between everything, fills these gaps, and it's an easy add to help fill out your track. I hope that was helpful for you. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, if you're ready to take your mixes to the next level and really start dialing in your workflow as an audio engineer, then I have just the tool for you, and it is completely free. It is my 7-step mixing checklist, and you can download it below to start creating more professional mixes in less time. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.